What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel. And for today's weekend news video, we are going to be taking a break away from Darkwing Blast for today. Because today I am going to be revealing the last batch of cards in Power of the Elements and some more Dark World support that might not be as good as you think. But then again, it could be. Who knows? But let's talk about Power of the Elements, the last batch of cards that I never got the chance to talk about because we didn't even know they were going to be released. So let's get straight to it. Hopefully you guys are ready for this video. If you guys are and you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, which again typically get posted on Tuesdays, sometimes on weekends, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, and follow me on all of my social media. Links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. Excuse me. Let's get straight into it. First up, we have Garura Wings of Resonant Life. It is which is a 6-star Darkwing Beast fusion with 1500 attack and 2400 defense, and it requires 2 monsters with the same type and attribute but different names. The effect reads, any battle damage your opponent takes from battles involving this card is doubled. If this card is sent to the grave, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Basically, that's basically what it does. What it says, is what it does. It can deal double damage. It can deal double damage to your opponent, which could potentially help you win games. But funny enough, this is actually perfect. With the Flowundery's mirror matches. So this will be an excellent, a really good super poly target, funny enough. So it's not too bad. Plus, I mean, you do get to draw a card when it's sent to the grave. So I would probably recommend running 2 of those, just because of the fact that you could essentially just get a Pot of Greed out of both. So that ain't too bad. That ain't too bad. Not much else to say about that. Next up, we have Ashura King, which is a rank 3 Earth Warrior Exceeds with 2100 attack, 0 defense, and requires 3 or more level 3 monsters. So this would be perfect with Zeus. If you have a pretty good amount of materials, this would be perfect. The effect reads, while this card has material, it can attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of materials attached to it. At the start of the damage set, if this card battles, it gains 200 attack. When another monster's effect is activated as a quick effect, you can detach a material from this card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. You can only use this effect once per turn. So it's essentially it's essentially a Chimera Tech Overdragon mixed in with a Solemn Judgment. And what I mean by that is Overdragon can attack multiple times up to the number of fusion materials it was used to summon Overdragon. That's what basically that effect is, and it's also essentially a quick effect Solemn Judgment. That's actually pretty cool. That's actually like really good. Next up, we have Ultimate Slayer, which is a normal spell, and the effect reads, your opponent cannot activate a monster effect in response to this card's activation. Send 1 monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, and target a monster your opponent controls with the same card type, Fusion, Synchro, Exceeds, Pendulum, or Link, shuffle it into the deck. So basically, it acts as sort of like as a way to set your opponent back a turn, so to speak, which is actually really cool because your opponent cannot activate Ash Blossom in response to this card's activation, so you won't have the need of call by. And even if your opponent found a way to negate this card, you can always find another way to just stop it. Stop the card dead in its tracks. And plus, this is not a hard once per turn. This is actually a soft once per turn, because it doesn't say that that you can use it once per turn. So I'm assuming that this will probably be a soft once per turn, so you could definitely run 3 copies of it really easily. Next up, we have Draco Utopian Aura, which works, I believe, with the Utopia. Which is a counter trap, and it reads, when your opponent activates a monster effect on the field, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card, then apply the following effect. Banish a monster from your hand, and if you do, special summon the monster that was destroyed and sent to the grave by its effect to your field, but negate its effect. So this is basically a Solemn Judgment Monster Reborn, which is kind of gnarly. So if your opponent activated the effect of, let's say, Borload Savage Dragon, let's say that you get to basically flip this card up, negate Savage Dragon's effect, send it to the graveyard, and then resummon it just by banishing a card from your hand, or actually a monster from your hand. And if you have both it and, let's say, another level 8 monster, you can just overlay them and make pretty much anything, any rank 8 XCs that you may have at your disposal, which could also include Dingirsu, Tachyon, could literally be anything. Ow. Sorry guys, I just scratched the scar that's on my hand. Yeah, if you guys don't know, the scar on my finger is getting better. If you guys didn't know. Anyway, that's actually that's a pretty nutty effect. Funny enough, I believe you can actually run this, not just with Utopia, but I think you can run this with pretty much any deck that has a control-based deck, that's a control-based deck, so to speak, which is not too bad. Next up we have Kurikara Divine Carnate, which I believe is how I pronounced it, which is a 1-star fire fairy with 1500 attack and defense, and it says, cannot be normal summon or set, must be special summoned from your hand by tributing all face-on monsters on the field that activate their effects this turn in your opponent's monster zone. Gains 1500 attack for each monster tributed gains 1500 attack for each monster tributed to summon this card. During the end phase, if you target a monster in your opponent's grave, special summon it to your field. You can only use this effect once per turn. Ew. Yeah, that's gonna be a massive problem. Funny enough, I think you can use this with pretty much any deck at that point. At this point, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, being able to just kaiju like your opponent's whole board. This is basically a 1-star fucking kaiju. Holy shit. Wow, I did not think it was going to be that busted, but wow, it's pretty busted. It's pretty busted. Next up we have a card that I believe I had already talked about, which I believe is called Gaudy of the Deep Beyond. I believe I talked about this card, but if I didn't, I will go over it again, which the card known as Gaudy of the Deep Beyond is a 10-star water fish synchro with question mark attack and 0 defense, and requires 1 or more fish tuners and 1 or more non-tuner monsters. So sort of generic with the fish decks, bait, pretty much. The original attack of this card becomes 500 times the number of banished monsters. If this card is synchro summoned during your opponent's turn, you can banish all cards on the field. During the standby phase of the next turn, after this card was banished from the monster zone, you can special summon this banished card. So this basically, it can just revive itself over and over and over again, and it would gain more and more attack just by banishing all cards. Just by banishing all the cards that are on both sides of the field, and this card could just essentially break boards and win games really quickly, which is actually not too bad. And my brother just texted me again. Sorry guys, my brother just texted me. There we go. There we go. There's a note underneath that says, this card, and by extension the entire theme, derive their names from Gaudy A respelling of fish meant to show the absurdity of the lingual rules of the English language. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny, though. Next up, we have Moray of Avarice. And you guys are wondering, wait a minute, don't we have something similar to that? We do. It's called Moray of Greed, which lets you take two fish monsters from your hand back into the deck, and you draw 3 cards. This one is not as powerful, but it's pretty good. The effect of Moray of Avarice reads: banish 1 face-up fish, sea serpent, or aqua monster you control. Draw 2 cards. You can only activate 1 Moray of Avarice per turn. I have to admit it's kind of a bad card because Moray of Greed is a lot better because it helps you. Because it can help you unbreak your hand, and it can also help you draw deeper into the combo pieces that you need to essentially win games. This one is essentially a brick because you're only drawing 2 cards, but you're banishing one of your cards, and you might not, and there might, I don't think there's a card that can, especially in the fish decks, I don't think there's a card that can bring the monster back. So it's a much more, it's a really bad Moray of Greed, if you will. But I mean, drawing 2 is not too bad, but drawing 3 is better because you're drawing even deeper to get your combo pieces out. Next up, we have Paces. We have Paces Light of the Gaudy, which is a 2-star waterfish tuner with 0 attack and defense, and it says you can banish this card you control. Special summon 1 fish from your hand, except this card. During the standby phase of the next turn, after this card was banished, you can special summon this banished card. During your opponent's main phase, if this card was supposed to summon this turn, you can, as a quick effect, immediately after the effect resolves, synchro summon a fish synchro using this card you control. You can only use each effect once per turn. Basically, it's just a way to help go into Gaudy of the Deep Beyond, which is pretty cool. Not much else to say about that. Next up, we have Schiff, Fairy of the Gaudy, which is a excuse me. Which is a 2-star waterfish tuner, 0 attack, 500 defense. You can banish this card from your grave. Target a fish monster you control. It gains 500 attack until the end of the turn. During the standby phase of the next turn, after this card was banished, you can special summon this banished card. During your opponent's main phase, if this card was special summoned this turn, you can synchro summon a fish synchro you control. Fish synchro using this card you control. Basically, they all have the same second effect, which is really nice. This one has a much more interesting effect. Enoch, Sentry of the Gaudy, 6-star waterfish, 2100 attack, 0 defense. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target one of your banished level 4 or lower fish, special summon it in defense, but negate its effects. You can banish a fish from your hand or face up field, add a Gaudy trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Enoch once per turn. Basically, it's basically Trap Rhoda. There's not much else to say about it. Next up, we have Oscan, the Bicorned Gaudy, which is an 8-star waterfish synchro. 2700 attack, 0 defense, and requires a tuner and at least 1 or more non-tuners. If this card is synchro summoned, you can target a fish you control, and 1 card your opponent controls, banish them. If this card is banished, you can banish a fish from your grave, special summon this card. Basically, this is a way to easily break boards. This is one of the best cards to break boards and basically force your opponent to activate a card like, say, Bottomless Trap Hole or a Solemn Strike or whatever. That way when they've used up their resources, you can just essentially just attack for game using this card, and also Gaudy of the Deep Beyond as well, which is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy effect in my personal opinion. Next up, we have the Most Distant, Deepest Depths. Yeah, it's an actual card. I don't know the puns. I swear the puns are just fucking stupid. It's actually a field spell for the Gaudis, and it reads: while you control a fish synchro, this card cannot be destroyed or banished by card effects. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can banish one fish from your hand or grave. Add one Gaudi monster from your deck to your hand. If a fish monster is normal or special summon to your field while the card is in your grave, except during the damage step, target a fish you control, banish it. If you do, add this card to your hand. So this is basically this is basically the rota for the whole deck to help you. Basically, to help you go into help you search out your combo pieces and to just go for game really quickly. But it all just depends on what your opening hand looks like, basically. Next up, and then the last of the Gaudis, we have Gaudi Chain, which is a normal trap, and it reads banish one face-up monster you control, special summon one of your Gaudi monsters that is banished or in your hand, deck, or graveyard with a different original name for the monster banished to activate this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only activate one Gaudi Chain per turn. So, how do you bypass the banish effect? Use it as synchro material. Not synchro material. You get to basically use it as Xyz material, but you're probably going to be doing a lot of banishing with this deck. So I highly recommend running cards like what you call it? Cards like different dimension reincarnation, DDR basically, and what you call it? I'm trying to think of the name. Pot of Acquisitiveness, I think is the name. That the cards like those will be perfect with the deck. I'm not so sure if the deck will be meta, but I think once we get more support for the Gaudi archetype, then maybe it could be meta, but we'll see. But now we gotta talk about the final cards, the last of the cards in the video. There's only a few left. First up, we have Vanguard of the Underground Emperor, which is an 8-star Earth Reptile with 2600 attack, 2200 defense, and the effect reads: if a monster or monsters is sent from the hand to the grave while this card is in your grave, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card, but place it on the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. So we'll use this effect once per turn. This is essentially a Cyber Dragon. So here's the thing. This is I know I said that it was essentially a Cyber Dragon, but this card has to be in the graveyard. So excuse me, it's basically its own Monster Reborn. So if your opponent, so let's say you activate a draw card, like say Pot of Avarice. Let's say that. Let's say you play that, and you're about to draw 2 cards. Your opponent activates Ash Blossom. You can then chain Vanguard of the Underground Emperor, and then chain, and as Chain Link 3, Chain Link 4, you can then activate Call By to banish your opponent's Ash Blossom to basically chain block them from using their Call By on your monster, which is actually pretty nutty. So by that logic, your Call By would then resolve. Ash Blossom would get negated. This Vanguard would get summoned. Ash Blossom would be negated, and you would still be able to get the +2 out of the pot out of the avarice, which essentially acts as a two for one, which is a pretty insane play there. Which funny thing, this card can actually work with the reptile strategy that we got in, oh, what was that one? I can't think of the name. It was the really bad set. I think the one with the Arsartic archetype. Comment below if you guys remember. I can't think of it right now. But next up we have Pit Knight Early. Pit Knight, yes, Pit Knight. P-I-T-K-N-I-G-H-T Early, which is a Fire Cyber's Link 2. Yes, Link 2 with 1500 attack, and its arrows are upper right, and requires 2 effect monsters. And the effect reads: when a monster this card points to activates its effect, except during the damage step, as a quick effect, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls until the end of the turn, change its attack to 0, and negate its effects. During the end phase, if this card is in the grave because it was destroyed by battle or a card effect and sent there this turn, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect once per turn. So it's essentially its own, like, it's essentially it's essentially an imperm with legs, basically, which is pretty cool. Not much else going on with that card, but still that ain't too bad. Next up we have Mimesis Elephant, which is a normal trap, and it says special summon this card as an effect monster, which is a 2-star Earth Beast, 0 attack, 2000 defense, and this card is also still a trap. If this card is in the monster zone as a quick effect, you can declare one type and one type and attribute, then target one face-up monster on the field. It becomes that type and attribute until the end of the turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. Oh, so wait a minute. Hold up. Wait a minute. Normal trap. Wait a minute. Hold on. I gotta see something here, because this is freaking me out right here. Type. I'll do any. Effect type. I believe it would be under special summon. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, okay. I thought so. Okay, so I figure, so we do have other normal traps that are basically monsters, and that would actually be the Paleozoics, and I think Shade Brigandine, I think, is the other one. Yeah, I think is Shade Brigandine, if I remember right. Okay. I mean, that's not too bad. That's not too bad of an effect. The only downside to it, though, is that you would have to run this in a very heavy Xyz based deck that can give you multiple materials to help you go into Zeus. That's like the only downside to this card, unfortunately. And then for the other cards that would be printed in the set, all of which I have already talked about, we have Loris, Lady of Lament, Morphtronic Telephone, Gadget Gamer, Morphtronic Scannon, Morphtronic Earphone, Power Tool Braver Dragon, Morphtronic Converter, and Life Extreme. and Life Extreme. All those cards I had already talked about on the channel. I guess they're not gonna be putting it in the next Legendary Duelist set. I don't know what the hell's gonna go on, but at least the cards will be printed in a core set, which is really cool. But now we gotta talk about the new Dark World support, which we found out that it will now be a TCG product, which I did not think it would ever work, because we did get a Dark World structure that back in 2011, like somewhere around there. The set will be released on November 30th, which is actually really good, which is really cool. And again, it'll show off pretty much. I hope that it shows off the whole deck, all the cards that are in the archetype. But we are going to be talking about the new cards that are in there. There's only a few, and this first one is known as Genta. Yeah, Genta Gateman of Dark World, which represents the color magenta, which is actually kind of hilarious. Which is a 4-star Dark Fiend, 1,000 attack, 1,800 defense, and it says you can only special summon Genta once per turn. You can discard this card to the grave. Add one Gate to Dark World from your deck to your hand. If this card becomes banished and you control a Dark World monster, you can special summon this card. Here's what boggles. Here's the big problem with this card. While it's true that yes, the card does search out Gate to Dark World. There's another card that is so much better than this card, and that card is Snow. Snow is so much better solely because of the fact that when it's discarded to the graveyard, you can easily just search out for any Dark World card to your hand from your deck, including the field spell. Here's the thing, I'm already currently rebuilding my Dark World deck. I would probably put this only at 1, solely because it would give me even more fodder for my 6-star synchro plays, and then go into my 8-star synchro plays from there. So I will probably put that only at 1 in my personal opinion. But again, Snow is just so much better. Next up, we have Pearl, Hermit of Dark World, which is a 1-star Dark Fiend, 300 attack, 100 defense. The effect is a once per turn, and it reads: if this card is discarded to the grave by a card effect, you can target one Dark World monster in your grave, except this card special summon it to either field. Then, if this card was discarded by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one of your fiend monsters that is banished in your hand or in your graveyard to either field. Basically, this card is insane, because this is essentially a DDR Cyber Rev system for the whole deck, which is just absolutely insane. But what's even more crazy about this card is that if you have Ceruli in your graveyard, you can just summon Ceruli to your opponent's field, trigger its effect, boom, and boom. They get hit with a dose of reality because you would then get to pop your opponent's board and just go and just pop out from there, which is actually kind of crazy. I would probably put this at 2. I'm gonna have to do a complete 360, a complete 180 on the deck, and see what I could come up with, because I don't know exactly. I'll have to take a look at the deck. But next up, I believe this is the last of the new cards. Yeah. Alright, guys, this is the last of the new cards for today's video. We have Dark World Library, which is a continuous spell, and it reads you can only use the first and second effect. Okay, so both of its effects of this card is once per turn. First effect reads, during your main phase, you can discard one Dark World monster, and if you do, all Dark World monsters you currently control gain attack equal to the discarded monster's level. times 100 until the end of the turn. If your monster whose original type is Fiend is discarded by the effect of a Dark World card on an opponent or an opponent's card, except even during the damage step, you can discard one card, then draw 2 cards. So it's essentially a graceful charity of sorts. So this is another card that I could definitely see being a 1 of, maybe even a 2. I'm gonna have to do a I'm definitely gonna have to do a complete 180 on the deck. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna rebuild it, but I'll have to take a look. But yeah, I cannot wait for this deck, this structure to come out. But as far as the rest of the reprints go, we have Lucent, Netherlore of Dark World, Latinum, Exarch of Dark World, Ceruli, Guru of Dark World. We have Fabled Raven, which is okay. Charge into a Dark World, which completely sucks. Card Destruction, Dark World Brainwashing, Mind Crush, Snow and Light of Dark World, which again is so much better than Genta. And of course the field spell, the Gates of Dark World. So that brings me to the question of the day. What are you guys' thoughts on the Gotti archetype, and do you think the deck will ever be meta? Let me know down in the comments below, and that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash the thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to see more videos like this in the future, which typically get posted on Tuesdays, sometimes on weekends, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any new content that comes your way. And make sure you guys follow me on all of my social media. Links will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.